Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Tuesday, August 13th. Hopefully, everybody's having a good day so far today. This is episode 353 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. We've got another training camp recap to give you today, day number 14 of New York Jets 2024 training camp, another day closer to the start of the regular season. For those of you tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. We are just 7 subscribers away from 400. So as always, appreciate all of your support. And thank you all for tuning in here, either on YouTube or all the different audio podcast platforms that the show is available on. Now, before we break down all of today's takeaways and all of today's action from One Jets Drive, let me tell you about our podcast partners, starting with our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app that delivers tickets from all over the internet and puts it into one spot to make it easier for you, the buyer. What makes SeatGeek so great is they rate each ticket from a scale from 1 to 10, so you know what type of deal you're getting. Look for the green dots. The green dots are the good deals. That means you are paying the right price and you're getting good seats and you're making the right purchase on your tickets. So use promo code BUBSONSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to download the SeatGeek app. And at checkout, again, that is promo code BUBSONSPORTS for $20 off your purchase. This is tickets to any event, not just sports, not just football, anything, plays, concerts, shows. If you can buy a ticket for an event, SeatGeek has it, but especially if you are a sports fan, because, hey, preseason football is right around the corner. You can get awesome seats for preseason games. The regular season for the NFL is right around the corner, and there's not a better place to purchase tickets than SeatGeek, and you can get $20 off using promo code Bubs on Sports. Also, my friends over at Huga House. You see me rocking my Huga House hat all the time on the show. If you want the hat I wear, or the hat that Aaron Rodgers wears all the time, or any of the hats Shane Gillis wears, Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Conklin, so many athletes and celebrities rock the Huga House apparel. Click the link in the description down below to take you to the Huga House store and use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase and get yourself some of the same swag QB1's rocking. Promo code BUBS for 15% off. And speaking of QB1, Aaron Rodgers, he had one heck of a day today. The offense dominated today's practice out at One Jets Drive as Aaron Rodgers and all of his weapons, specifically Garrett Wilson, dominated and balled out this afternoon. And, you know, it was interesting practice because you obviously have the news of Hassan Reddick yesterday where he, of course, requests the trade. It has been an eventful 24 hours for Jets fans. And they go out today, they put together good practice, and it feels like everything's restored again. Everything's all great in the world. Aaron Rodgers dominates. We're back to normal. Obviously, the Hassan Reddick cloud is still over this team, but good to get a lot of positive notes out of practice today after what has been kind of just a wild past 24 hours full of frustration, full of some negativity, full of just, you know, why, again, is this happening to the New York Jets? So it was nice to see the offense have a good day. There's also a lot of highlights on defense that we'll get to. It was nice to have a successful practice from the future Hall of Famer at quarterback. And that's where we'll start here. We'll jump right into it. Don't want to waste any more time on anything else. We got to get to the practice notes. So we'll start with the quarterback. We'll start right with Aaron Rodgers. Excellent day for him today. Just perfect. One of those days where you just kind of but just get that understanding again of how great Aaron Rodgers is and how when he's on his game, how perfect of a player he is and how dominant he can be. He finished the day 21 of 30 with 3 touchdowns, and that's how good he was today. Just an excellent day. One of those was actually a drop. 2 of the completions, one of them was the drop. The other one was a spike. So technically, if you take those out, 21 of 28 with 3 touchdowns. So dominant day from him in what was a lengthier practice. And we'll break down those 3 touchdowns. He found Garrett Wilson, his first touchdown, Garrett Wilson. It was a free play. He got Will McDonald to jump. So again, you know, Rodgers, little cat and mouse game, gets the defense to jump. It felt like yesterday he thought he got the defense to jump on a couple plays, but they didn't, or at least they said he didn't, and it resulted in 2 interceptions, 2 bad decisions from Rodgers, or at least some miscommunications from the offense, 2 plays that didn't result, 2 turnover-worthy plays, rather, from the offense. But today, he got Will McDonald to jump and just completely aired it out to Garrett Wilson, deep downfield, free play, took a chance, took a risk, and went all the way downfield, given it was a free play against Brandon Echols. Garrett Wilson beat him, 50-plus yard touchdown down the sideline. So that was great to see, get practice started. His second touchdown also to Garrett Wilson. It was during the move the ball period. It was a short pass across the middle of the field in the red zone, connects to Garrett Wilson. So that was his second touchdown of the day. Rodgers is second as well. And in this play, I think has got to get you fired up if you're a Jet fan, because his third touchdown was thrown to Breece Hall. And that's great to see Breece Hall involved as much as he's been involved. Really, all of the running backs. And we'll break that down here a little bit more in a second, because we'll get to the running backs and break down the rest of their performances. But the running backs in general, just the way that they've all been utilized in the passing game is a huge, huge positive, considering last year, if you remember, Nathaniel Hackett, the terrible offensive coordinator, Nate Hackett, didn't even know that Breece Hall was that much of a threat in the passing game until after that Giants game, which was all the way week 7, week 8 of the season after the Jets had their bye week. Like, that is how bad the offensive coordinator, that is how blind the Jets offense was to like Breece Hall being as good as he was. And it's been great to see them kind of put an emphasis on getting the running backs involved, especially the wheel route. And that was the route and the concept and the play that was ran. 13-yard wheel route. Breece beat Mosley, got behind the linebacker, and a beautiful play by Rodgers. You want to see that. I would love to see that so much this year. Those wheel routes are so successful. The Jets haven't run them much since Breece Hall came in as a rookie, of course, in 2022. But the times that they run those wheel routes with Breece Hall, they are always successful. I mean, I even go back 2 years ago to that Jets-Dolphins game when Zach at the time, threw it to Breece, wheel route. Breece took it all the way down to the 1-yard line. If you remember that game, Jets-Dolphins, Jets got the 3-2 after that game. It was after the win against, I believe it was, forget exactly. I think they beat Pittsburgh the week prior, and then they beat them. Yeah. And then you barely saw it the rest of the year. And last year, you barely saw it to start the season. Like, Breece Hall is such a threat. Keep using him in the passing game. That was great to see today. Wheel route for a touchdown. So those were Rodgers' 3 touchdowns. On top of that, they converted a 2-point conversion, and that was thrown to Malachi Corley, who was wide open. Really fun to see how the Jets are utilizing him. It feels like early in camp they were trying to, I don't want to say baby him, but early in camp they were really trying to kind of put him through not many reps, kind of let him learn, play with the second, third team guys, just kind of sit back, watch, and absorb. But it feels like ever since Gibson's got hurt, obviously he's back now, but it feels like the minute Gibson got hurt, the Jets have unleashed Corley, and they've kept him out there. And I really like that. I feel like Corley's development has started slow this camp. First week or two was slow, but the last, 2 and a half, 3 weeks, or really 2 weeks, I would say, has really, really come along, which has been a really big positive, and great to see him and Rodgers have that connection here during camp, which is really positive. And just seeing the way they utilize him, so many different packages, so many different options, just a Swiss Army knife, which is exactly what you want to see out of your rookie Debo 2.0, if you want to call him that. Some other completions, touchdowns, got Lazard deep downfield on a great catch against Sauce. So Lazard on top of Sauce. They called the play dead. If it wasn't dead, it could have potentially been a 70-plus yard touchdown. So perfect ball from Rodgers, and even better catch from Lazard. So he continues to put together a nice, strong camp. Rodgers also had completions to Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, Tyler Conklin, Xavier Gibson, Malachi Corley as well, not including the 2-point conversion. So Rodgers finding different ways to get everybody the ball. Got Garrett Wilson the ball 4 more times after that as well, after those 2 touchdowns. So an excellent day from him, one of his best practices of the summer, I would say. Some other quarterback notes. Tyrod had a beautiful touchdown throw to Irv Charles. So that was positive. Tyrod continues to, a nice camp. Of course, we'll have some more preseason rest as well. Not a great preseason game for him. Didn't really do a whole lot. Didn't play a ton. But has put together a nice preseason there. Competent backup play, something that we haven't seen in a very long time. And the Andrew Peasley and Adrian Martinez battles continue to heat up. It's fun to see those guys. They're kind of trading blows. Martinez had a couple nice plays today in practice. Andrew Peasley has a couple nice plays. UFL standout, the UFL MVP, Adrian Martinez, of course, dominating the preseason game, 100-plus yards, efficiency. Found his man Brandon Smith downfield, so that was cool to see. And Andrew Peasley, of course, had the touchdown to Jason Brownlee. So the quarterback battle is getting exciting here in camp. And the next two preseason games, we'll get an even better look at those two guys. So just your daily Andrew Peasley, Adrian Martinez update. That's feel like it's going to be a daily thing now that we keep an eye on the third and fourth team quarterbacks. All right, we move on now to the running backs. Of course, a great day for the QBs, great day for the offense as a whole. They won the day, but the running backs, a lot of things to take away here. Talked about Breece. He looked great. Had the touchdown as a runner as well. Looked excellent. So just an overall great day for him. Not much of a surprise. He's Breece Hall. He's a monster. Braylon Allen, I thought one of his better days as well. Had a really, really nice runs, which was great to see. And he also put together a couple really, really nice plays where he was able to, as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And that's been something I've loved from Braylon Allen. Not only is his downhill running style on full display, having the ability to lower his shoulder, having the ability to run through guys. We saw it in the preseason game, which is, of course, great to see. But his pass catching and the used him. They're not afraid to use him at all as a pass catcher. You saw in the preseason game, they weren't afraid to use against the Commanders. The one play was a nice play, nice catch, ended up getting called back for a penalty, but just something that at Wisconsin, he never in that way that he's been utilized now, which has been great to see as a pass catcher. So really strong day from Braylon Allen. I also thought Isaiah Davis, he flashed a little bit today as a receiver. Haven't seen a ton of him as a receiver. He's at a good camp, but flashed as a receiver today. So really glad, just again, we mentioned it about a couple minutes ago with Breece, but just glad to see the Jets getting the running backs involved as pass catchers. It really, really important, especially for these young guys. Not only to develop them but develop them as pass catch well, because it's always something that Rodgers has always had in his repertoire in his days, and it's something that is so pivotal. Xavier Valade had a good day today. Kind of that competition back and forth with Izzy. I still think it would be Izzy that wins that running back 4 spot, but still a competition. I thought Valade won the day today. I thought Izzy didn't do a whole lot. Seemed like he was okay in pass protection, but not a ton otherwise. But Valade had a couple nice runs today, so that was good to see. He also had a couple catches as well, so seems like he won the day today. We'll see how that continues on the rest of camp. That's the running backs. As for the wide receivers, talked about Garrett Wilson. He finished receptions on targets, so pretty much perfect. Everything Rodgers threw him, he pretty much was gobbling up. The Lazard catch was maybe one of the highlights of practice. I mean, on sauce, over sauce, deep downfield. If they didn't mark him down, we might be talking about a 70-yard Allen Lazard touchdown. 72 yards exactly. I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams, preseason, training camp, whatever, would have thought that would even happen after what he did last year with the New York Jets. So, look, I'm not saying Lazard's going to go out there and put together an excellent season and go out there and have 900 yards and be the great one to be the best number 2 receiver alongside Garrett Wilson. But I'll tell you this, he's had a very good camp. He's had a very good camp. He has suffered some drops. There's been, he's had some days where he hasn't been his best, right? There's been some days where he's not always a factor, but Rodgers makes it a point to always give him the football. He's always looking his way. They have that chemistry. They have that connection from Green Bay. Lazard seems a lot more focused. He seems a lot more dialed in. You even hear him talk when he talked to the media. I know words and performances it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to go out there and do it, but seems like he has a different mindset and still has to show it on the field. But this is all we got. This is all the sample size we got, and it's been positive. Xavier Gipson also had a catch. We talked about that. He flashed a little bit today. Corley had a couple really nice receptions where he showed off the yak ability. Not only with the 2-point conversion, but also the yak ability, and of course his ability as well to just be that dual threat guy. I mean, a guy that you can throw out there, 2-point conversion situation, and rely on him. The yak ability's been on full display. So he's really come along here in camp after kind of a slow start. Really come along, which has been a really, really big positive, I think, if you're a Jets fan. And Irv Charles as well. Really strong day for him. Great catch from Tyrod on a deep ball. Contested catch, went up and got it. And in the play before that, he also had a great catch from Tyrod. So Irv Charles was excellent today. And the depth receivers as well. Look out for all of them. We've talked about Jason Brownlee. He had the touchdown in the preseason game. He's put together a really strong camp after a slow start. Irv Charles is another guy. Special teams piece, which is why I think he will make the roster, but a special teams piece and a guy that has flashed as a receiver. Even Lance McCutcheon. Rodgers today spoke to the media, and then he was asked which guys have kind of popped out to you or shown kind of under the radar guys that you have been impressed with. And he mentioned a couple offensive linemen. He said Chris Glazer he was impressed with. He feels like he's doing a good job. He also said Lance McCutcheon he feels has been good. He also mentioned Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. So Lance McCutcheon got some recognition from Rodgers. Bad thing if you want to get on the quarterback's good side. Brownlee's had a good camp. Irv Charles had a great day today. Malik Taylor was having a great camp, and it feels like it felt like not a ton recently, I would say, but had a great start to camp. So if he can pick it back up again, that'll be interesting, but definitely a good battle to continue to watch for. As for the tight ends, Conklin, I thought had a couple nice plays today. He did have a drop, but other than that, it was a strong day for him. Kuntz had a really nice catch from Martinez, showed off a little bit of his yak ability. Kuntz kind of coming to his own a little bit as a tight end. Last year was just a athletic, long, lanky freak. That was about it. Didn't get any action in the regular season. Feels like this year is more of a well-rounded tight end, which I think is a positive from a depth standpoint there. So that's pretty much it from a tight end perspective. But Kuntz, I feel like, has had a nice camp. You were kind of wondering last year what Kuntz was going to do with the Jets. And look, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and have a huge year. He's third, fourth on the depth chart, depending on how you view Yeboah. Most likely fourth at tight end. But with, of course, Conklin and Ruckert leading the way. But last year, didn't play at all in the regular season. Didn't have a great training camp. Was just very raw. You're kind of like, okay, what is this guy going to do? And he's looked really good. He's coming to his own a little bit. He's improved his blocking a little bit. He's turning into a tight end. Last year he was kind of just an athletic freak. This year he's starting to turn into an actual tight end, which is a positive. Offensive line. Talked about Olu yesterday with the right tackle reps. He got right tackle reps for the first time. And today he got more. So Olu got reps at right tackle with both the first team and the second team. So Jets kind of ramped him up fast there. Said, hey, going to work at right tackle for the first time yesterday. Boom, you're out there today getting some first team right tackle reps. Mainly they came on the second team, but as practice went on, he got some first team reps. So something to keep an eye on there from Olu with some of those tackle reps. The Jets have, said yesterday that they'll work him in there over the next week or so. I'm sure it'd be interesting to see if he gets any action on Thursday against the Panthers at joint practice at right tackle. That'll be something to keep an eye on. But kind of got thrown right into the fire today. Got some first team reps at right tackle. So, and he seems pretty good. Seems pretty comfortable from all reports. Another note on the offensive line. Not much of a concern. I'm not going to say it's a concern yet. I know some people are going to overreact. Tyron Smith, after what was a vet rest day yesterday, also missed today. So he did only individual drills again, but no team drills. So his second vet rest day in a row. It feels like the Jets are probably trying to limit his. Well, we know that they were going to limit his practices to begin with, but it feels like especially this week they're trying to limit before they go on and play the Panthers in the joint practice. They might have him go out there tomorrow and have kind of a light practice, and then Thursday, of course, the joint practice against Carolina, where he'll get a lot of looks there. So It seems like they're these next couple weeks, and I talked about that yesterday. You're kind of entering the dog days of summer. I mean, before you know it, we'll already be entering the last week of preseason. I mean, training camp's flying. We're already on day 14. We're already 3 weeks in. So it feels like as we enter this mid-August range, kind of get to the dog days of summer, you really don't want to get to that position where you're straining these guys, working them too hard, right before the season. So it feels like they're especially scaling back here soon, especially with the joint practices and stuff like that now thrown into the schedule as well. So nothing to be worried about. I know some people will say, "Oh, Tyron Smith, 2 straight days he missed." I don't think it's a big deal. As for the defensive line, like I said, the offense was great, but defense made some really nice plays today. Defense line specifically. Takk McKinley had pressures on back-to-back plays to open up practice, and he also had what would have been a sack on Adrian Martinez in a real game. So Takk McKinley, we talked about, shined. I mean, dominated to start training camp. And recently has been a little, I would say, slower. I shouldn't say slower, but hasn't been as electric, hasn't been as dominant, hasn't popped out that much, stood out that much. But today he had a great day. 2 pressures, back-to-back plays, sack on Adrian Martinez. So McKinley shined today. With Hassan Reddick request, look, and we'll get to more of the Reddick situation here in a second, but with Reddick out as the time being, right now he is not playing. Right now he's not out there. And with him requesting a trade, who the heck knows is going to happen with Hassan Reddick? That other edge spot now completely opens up because it's Michael Clemens, Will McDonald, and Jermaine Johnson. Those are your 3 edges. So now you're going to need one of these potential UDFAs to step up, whether that's an Eric Watts or a Braden McGregor, who have both shown you some good things, or other guys such as Jalen Holmes, who was here last year, practice squad. Takk McKinley, of course, a reclamation project, 2017 first-round pick. So it opens the door for those guys. Very good day for McKinley. I've been very impressed. I think out of all the edge rushers, depth-wise, not, the Will McDonald, Clemens, Jermaine Johnsons of the world, the actual depth edge rushers, the UDFAs and some of these other pieces, I think McKinley's looked the best. I think his burst off the line has been great. Seeing him in person has been great. I think he's earned the right to potentially have the inside track here on maybe making the roster. So a good day for him. It feels like the last week or so he's kind of been quiet, but pop. Jermaine Johnson also very strong against the run, had a couple really nice run stops, clogging some of the lanes. Talked about Jalen Holmes a little bit just now, but he had he had a couple pressures today. Eric Watts also had a couple pressures today. So Hassan Reddick's not here. He requested a trade. Feels like all these guys kind of got the message, really time to step up. And if I had to rank the most impressive depth edge rushers this camp, I'd probably say Takk McKinley's up there. I mean, this guy had 6 sacks in the first 3 practices. I mean, he's got to be up to at least 8 sacks, I would say now. 7 to 8 sacks this camp. And that's just ridiculous. I know it's only practice. I know he's working a lot with the 3rd team. He got some reps with the 2nd team. But, it's still 8 sacks is still 8 sacks. I'd have to say it's probably McKinley. And then probably Jalen Holmes. And then Eric Watts. And then I would probably say it's Braden McGregor. Braden McGregor has been good, but I think Watts and Holmes have flashed a little bit more than him, especially from a pressure standpoint. It feels like McGregor, it's either not sack or bust, but it feels like the only time you hear about him is like sacks. Holmes and those guys you can actually see getting after the quarterback, not always finishing, but they're getting after him. They're applying pressure. You could see their speed off the edge. So those would probably be the main guys I would say. And of course, Holmes played in 5 games with the Jets last season. It's been around for a little while. Was drafted in 2019, of course. So not necessarily a young piece, but, they all have a chance. And even Leonard Taylor, interior guy who's fighting. Now a door opens up for him if Hassan Reddick does not play or still's not showing up. So defensive line gets very interesting here. And by the way, I'm by no means am I saying that Takk McKinley is going to go out there and fill the shoes of Hassan Reddick. No, there's no chance. The Jets still need Reddick. I mean, even Michael Clemens and Will McDonald can't fill the shoes of Hassan Reddick. Neither of those guys are going to go out and put up 13 sacks. 2 of them combined might not put up 13 sacks. So still need Reddick. He's still a game changer, but the door now opens, is what I'm saying, to one of these other guys. As for the linebackers, Chaz Surratt had a couple nice plays today from a running perspective, blew up a couple run plays. Continues to show off his speed, man. It's Chaz Surratt, Zaire Barnes. Interesting. You even got Sammy Guavon, assuming you hold, say, 4 linebackers. Your top 3 of Quincy, CJ Sherwood, Barnes, and Surratt fighting it out. Saleh loves Chaz Surratt. He has played special teams, good special teams piece, but he also has that ability to show up. He also has the speed ability as well, which is really impressive, and something that I think Robert Saleh really, really likes is his speed. So definitely interesting to see how that all pans out from a linebacker perspective. Kind of an underrated competition there, depth-wise, between Barnes, Surratt, and even Sammy Guavon, who's still in the conversation. As for the corners and secondary safety guys today, Stiggers had a really nice day. Got beat a couple times. Was a battle out there. Couple nice battles, couple won, couple lost, but all in all, good day for him. He had 2 pass breakups, so that was good to see. He continues what has been an excellent and impressive camp and impressive preseason game against Washington. Saul all day at tight coverage. It felt like Rodgers was just fitting him in. So a couple plays today where Garrett had a couple plays on Sauce, of course, Lazard. Just Rodgers was going after Sauce today, and he was fitting him in perfectly. But Sauce has still been all over these guys. And I thought Chuck Clark had a very good day today. Tackling was on display. His tackling's been very impressive. He looks healthy, first of all, which I think is a really big positive. But also his coverage day was good. I think he had a couple good coverage reps. He had a couple good tackling reps as well, which we all know is expected out of him. Chuck Clark, I think overall has had a really good camp. Most of all, he looks really healthy. And I think that's a really big positive, considering this guy hasn't stepped onto an NFL regular season, hasn't played in an NFL game since 2022. So I think this is a really good positive to see what he's looked like out there this year. So that's mainly my biggest takeaways. Now, on the Hassan Reddick stuff, a little bit more. No more has come out from a news standpoint, but Saleh did speak today, was, of course, asked about it. Jermaine Johnson, I thought, also had an interesting comment. So I've got 3 clips to play. We'll play the first here, Robert Saleh on Hassan Reddick.
What's your reaction to Hassan? I'm not going to elaborate any more than Joe did. It is what it is. I'm going to focus on the guys who are here.
You're focusing on those guys, Robert, but how do you avoid this being a distraction?
It's not. I promise you it's not. It's a great opportunity for the guys who are here. We love our D-line. We love our depth, especially at the DM position. And guys like Will McDonald, even Jermaine Johnson, Tack McKinley's getting a lot of run. So is Watts and McGregor and Clemens and Jalen. So we've got a lot of really good depth at the defensive end position, and they're all taking advantage of the extra opportunities that they're getting because of it.
So that's Saleh, kind of standing his ground. He was also on Boomer and Gio of WFAN this morning, standing his ground that the guys who are here is the guys they're going to focus on, and that's it. They're not giving in. Douglas sent out the statement yesterday about we're not giving in until he shows up. We're not going to negotiate. So, of course, an ugly situation, but no real new stuff there on Saleh, but that's how he kind of handled it, talking about the depth, giving the guys who are here a chance. This was also more of Saleh on Reddick, if it's a distraction, frustrating, and all that stuff.
It's not frustrating because I don't have control over it. But, we're, like I said, we're excited about our group. Still looking forward for him to get here when he's ready. And when he's ready, we're gonna embrace him with open arms and get ready to attack the moments that he brings to us.
Robert, last time you spoke to
I'm not going to get into that one.
Have you spoken to him?
I have. I'm not going to say when.
So interesting. I'm curious when the last time he did spoke to him. Probably very long ago. It's probably somewhere around OTA's minicamp. But in this next clip, we'll play with Jermaine Johnson. It doesn't seem like it's much of a distraction now. I don't know if it'll become one when it's a distraction, of course, for the fans and everybody else and the media and all that. But it seems like he hasn't really crept into the locker room what's a little bit different about this situation, I guess, is this is a guy that's never played a snap. This isn't like a guy that has been a focal point for this Jets defense. This isn't like a Revis situation where a teammate, a guy that's respected in the locker room, is holding out. Of course, back on Hard Knocks back in 2010. So I feel like that is more of a distraction than a guy that, like, this guy, he's not really even on the team. Like, he's on the team, but he's never practiced. He's never even been in the locker room. He barely probably seen any of these players. Barely probably even knows any of these guys. So it's still, I guess, to these guys, it still feels like he's not even, until he shows up, he's not even a part of the team. And we're not going to get caught up over a guy that hasn't played a snap with us in practice, hasn't even stepped onto the grass at one Jets drive. And here was Jermaine Johnson kind of on the locker room and his thoughts on it, basically saying it's out of his control.
What's the feeling right now with Hassan not here and then asking for a trade?
It's above my pay grade. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah, the Pro Bowl last year.
Have you spoken to him at all since he was acquired?
I have, but in terms of all the business stuff now.
So he met him once. That was last time, Pro Bowl last year. That was it. So clearly didn't even meet him the day he came in. But it's a very frustrating situation. Of course, it's a situation that could have been avoided. But I think you got to give the Jets a little bit of credit here. They're standing their ground. They're not giving in. While I don't agree with how Douglas has handled the situation entirely, I totally see both sides of it. But they're going to make it clear. They made it clear. They're not going to give in to a player that hasn't played a snap for them. And that wouldn't send the right message to the rest of the locker room if they extended a guy that hasn't played a snap. And you got other guys like DJ Reed, Michael Carter playing on their last year. Their deals have been here for 2 seasons, have been great players. Carter's been here for 3 years. Reed been here for 2 seasons. Of course, guys that have been through a lot of losing and have played well and are great in the locker room and deserve a contract. I'm not going to give in. So that part of it I agree with. I don't agree with how Douglas has handled the rest of it with the whole JFM situation, even going back to Bryce Huff, all that stuff. But here we are. You've got a disgruntled pass rusher who wants out. How does it even end? I don't even know. I genuinely don't know what is next with this situation. I mean, he could possibly, and I could see this where he comes in the week before the season and says, I'm ready to play. But then you question football shape. You question if he's really motivated. You question his mindset, if he's even cares, or if he's going to go out there and go through the motions. So very tricky situation, ugly situation. Only a matter of time until he comes and does a hold in and says, I'm here. Because the Jets' reasoning through all of this has been, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to give you a contract. We're not going to negotiate because you're not in the building. That's been their thing all along. If he does what Ayuk and any of the other guys do, where they do a hold in, where they can't get fined and they're there, then that makes the Jets, then that puts pressure on Douglas and the Jets. Because then they can't say, oh, we're not in the building. Reddick could say, I'm here. You won't negotiate until I'm here now. But I'm not going to practice. So we'll see. It's a developing situation. It's an ugly situation. It's a messy situation. But it's an unfortunate one too. But it's where we are here. So anyway, that'll do it. Episode 353 in the books. Make sure to stay tuned. We'll have a player preview episode tomorrow morning, the Wednesday edition, the 11th episode of the New York Jets player preview series. So stay tuned for that. And of course, after practice tomorrow, we'll have another practice recap out. So stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way. Until next time, as always, JETS, 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 Jets.